I do think that at this point we would wait for the courts to do justice to some of those issues that we've been talking about for almost a year. Right now, we're looking at economic development, environmental development on various other perspectives, and not just politics, right? So we just rounded off the conversation talking about educational development as it relates to the current state of the economy, but it's now time for us to move to the environment. Now, reports I have seen, Awuda West has been ravaged by flooding. Okrika, I think parts of Okrika have been ravaged by flooding. And so it reminded me of how much we value our environment. What is our sanitation habits like? What is, our do we even know our responsibilities to the environment we are in? So I thought about a conversation we had a couple of weeks ago, is it about a month ago, with the technical advisor, RIWAMA, as the technical advisor to the sole administrator of RIWAMA. And I remember we talked about refuse dumping, we talked about desilting, we talked about, sanitation basically, and I want us to go back to that conversation and see how we can ensure that we reduce some of the flash floods in Port Harcourt metropolis, and how we can take Rivers State, or more particularly because RIWAMA is focused on Port Harcourt metropolis, how we can revive the Garden City status of Port Harcourt. So joining me to have the conversation once again is the technical advisor. When you hear technical advisor, the first thing that comes to your mind is Super Eagles, right? But no, we're not talking football. It's the technical advisor to the acting sole administrator of RIWAMA. It's good to have you, Dr. Emmanuel Olowu. I got your name this time, right?
Yeah, thank you, as always do. Thank you very much for the privilege of being on studio with you this evening. Thank you.
All right, welcome. So my first question, how would you describe the current state of sanitation in Rivers State? Because the last time, I told you I saw this, I saw that, and you said, RIWAMA is working on it. So my first question is, how would you describe as at today, the 23rd of October?
Yeah, with all honesty, as one who cares on what happens in the environment, is an emerging one. Howbeit, it is a shift away from what it used to be. That I say that all of us are resident in Port Harcourt, and we use most part of the streets and our neighborhood. There had been a great improvement in terms of what government is doing to evacuating the waste that is generated. You'll be amazed if you look at the records to know what tonnage of waste that is generated.
Can you tell us? This is exact fact. We want to know the data.
You have more than 20 trucks every day.
In Port Harcourt metropolis?
Yes, in Port Harcourt metropolis. More than 20 trucks. As a matter of fact, we have about 90-something receptacles. And some of the zones generate more than 2 compactors. So stand on the to easily possible. But you see, the administration has actually moved away from what it used to be. So that is an improvement.
Now you've said there is an improvement. So I guess you scored this administration of RIWAMA. You've given them a plus mark.
Yes.
First question, real question. Why is the airport road, or that parcel of land, along the airport road, the dumping ground, where these trucks dispose the refuse? Why is it like that?
I do not understand what you mean on why is it like that.
I want to know why that is the designated area.
Yeah, usually what government does is acquire a landed property that has a borrow pit. It's not like it creates one, because we find that borrow pit at different points. At the point when it was acquired, and of course, how development is kind of coordinate. People are building the core areas for high rise of prices going to the fringes to build. So at the point when it was acquired, that place was good and it's still good for it. So I'm just trying to fix my head on why it is what you think it is.
So is it still good for it? That's what I want to know. That place is still
good because that's what we're still using. Howbeit, the agency also is expanding her search, because there are a lot of things are involved in securing or acquiring a place. You have to not only designate, you have to do an assessment, but the impact, environmental assessment, and all of that you're going to do to be able to, one, understand the porosity of that soil, how the permeability and all of it, because they play a role to checkmating how infiltrations will be going to be affecting what is kept in that place. So a whole lot of things. So for the particular place which is used, it is where the government are designated for it.
So we do understand that the government of Rivers State is attempting to extend Port Harcourt. There is the creation of new cities. And, that airport road area is one of the places here marked. For instance, I think the 20,000 housing units is along that airport road, right? And I'm wondering what the health impact would be, given that place is still a dump. That's why I asked the question.
Yeah, you see, it does not stop what the government want to do. I did mention here that the government, the current leadership of Honorable Prince O'Hare, had gone into a partnership and has also designated a marked, previously closed-up dump site that is going to be recouped and used for waste to energy. So what you see there today, in the nearest time, is going to be taken off and being converted to energy. In fact, as I mentioned in our last time episode in this program, that it's going to come to a point when we're going to be asking for waste from a nearby state. Government is already on that process.
You've just taken my other question out of my mouth. So you've answered. I was going to ask you what the government is doing about the waste to wealth or waste to energy situation.
Part of it is that the RIWAMA, which I stand to speak for at this point, has some of the waste dump sites that has been closed up were actually before this current administration. And so some of them we do not have record, but we have to be carefully to ask questions, look at the records, and to find and locate. As we stand, we have identified 12 of those places.
Dump sites?
Yes, closed out sites. On this road of airport where you're talking about, we have about 3, one at the Neka side, one about close adjacent to where the existing one is. So in course of time, all of that which you see at all identified close-up dump site is going to be taken out and used for the waste to energy.
So it will become an industry eventually.
Of course.
Okay.
Because we talked about the direct foreign investment that Honorable Prince O'Hare has been able to secure through the agency and with the help of the government. We did mention here that they did a presentation during the 100 days in office. Of course, you know that beyond the presentation and the technical, there are the dimension of agreements and all that needed to be closed out, which the government will need to do before that because the governor is not interested in making a mistake like other
administrations. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So now let's talk about disposing of waste.
Yeah.
Do you think since our last conversation, Rivers people have improved in terms of disposal? Is it still indiscriminate disposal?
Actually, it's a challenge with the human being. It is not peculiar with Rivers people, but I wish that our people will change, because that's where I am, and their action is affecting us so much. We are still battling with it. I do not want to talk down our people, because I know that the Rivers indigenous have the ability and capacity. They are known for neatness. So
are they? Because sometimes you see how these people
That's why we have had the Garden City as our name.
Is it still a garden city? Okay, so I'll tell you a story.
Yes.
A colleague of mine, I wonder if she's listening, and she said she was taking her children to school, and they were lamenting as to how dirty people made the streets look because of how they dumped on the median. I don't know the location, so yes. I can give the location. Yes. And the child was asking if these people are clean people. So I'm going to go back to what you just said. Are we really clean people?
The Rivers man, the average Rivers person is a clean person. But the dimension I have understood by study is that it is growing, and we have people who have joined us. Some of them have also joined us with their characters.
So you're blaming the non-Rivers people for...
Well, they may also infiltrated our ranks.
Okay.
Because if originally you and I know that Rivers State used to be a garden city, and of course it is, and it changed. So it couldn't have been the Rivers man who is known for neatness that had changed suddenly. Something would have happened on the line. I think so. That's why the agency believes that we'll get it better. That's why the part of the orientation and sensitization and all of that is key for the agency, RIWAMA.
Let me take you back to a couple of weeks ago where RIWAMA was in the news. There was the talk about dead people in a sack along Iwofe Road. And it was later, discovered that it was poultry, waste. That was. Are they different types of disposal of refuse? Because sometimes when the trucks that carry this refuse pass by, it smells, and if they pass by your street, that smell can stay for as long as God knows, right? So, are there particular ways to dispose of certain kinds of refuse?
Yeah, thank you very much for the matter which you referred to, which the public were misinformed.
Okay.
By some persons who just want to create unnecessary recognitions. Okay. It was not correct because the agency took up the matter. My boss, Honorable Prince Oher, in person went there, and if you watch the video, he used his hand to open it.
Okay.
To open it so that it's not like, it's one mystery that cannot be rabbit. So he tore the things out. One, we wanted to establish in the first place whether there were cops as alleged by unknown persons.
By bloggers.
Yes,
bloggers.
But it was not.
Okay.
The police was on ground at that point too. Of course, my boss is going to also be on this program to make his input about it. So it was not correct. But you see, coming to the question is that we have persons who provide services, in various classes of the service as it has to do with waste that they evacuate. So such persons, according to the classification of waste, whether they are toxic, they are just domestic and all that, sewage and all that, it has to be handled. So it's all kind of waste that a particular service provider handles. As it were, that particular poultry you're referring to has a service provider.
So yet again, how are these people supposed to dispose refuse? Because we established the last time, you're supposed to locate a receptacle, dump your refuse. Yes. I don't know if that was where they are.
For this particular one, it was not supposed to get straight to the receptacle because it was a specialized kind of waste. It's the droppings of the poultry which would have been mixed with other things. So there is a registered service provider, which, because we saw this, we have to invite all of those, the owner of the property, the service provider, and neighbors who are there, so that we can get all the side of the story. So that was intended to know where the gap was created. Why was this not properly and timely evacuated? So that we did. Okay.
I'm listening, but okay. What would you say about the smell that accompanies the trucks, the disposal trucks? I don't know if you've passed any of those trucks.
Yes. Now, what happened is that, you see, our people have some kind of uncoordinated behaviors.
Interesting.
Not every individual and household dispose of their waste on daily basis. So some of the waste that you see may have stayed 1 week or more, depending on the attitude of the people, and they bring it to the point where the receptacle is. It has to be evacuated. You see, that is why in the wisdom of the agency, it is that waste has to be evacuated at night time. When it's going to cause less of this visual distortion and all that. How be it, every service provider also have some level of infecting of their compactors, as it were. All right, but you can't take away the fact that there must be a smell. So if you find that smell, it's because the waste is in transit. But it's not a smell that's going to stay all long in a day, except for those who have a deliberate attitude of just coming to dump waste when it is not the time of dumping the waste.
All right, really interesting there. But
Battling with that seriously. We're really battling with that. And that's why you find that at a certain point of the day, especially after normal time of evacuation, which is supposed to elapse at 6:37, we still find waste. Our people are slow to accepting this.
So can we tell the people the right time to dispose of waste?
Yeah. The right time, as we have said over and again, and we will not be tired to say, is that it's between 6 p.m., which is evening time. I don't know whether it is difficult for some of our people to understand what 6 p.m. 6 p.m. is the time after close of work, you know, when it is like the sun is setting, okay? A little more after this kind of hour of the day, okay? 6 p.m. till 10 p.m., okay, when people are preparing to go to bed. That's when individuals are allowed to locate the closest receptacle around them and drop the waste. That is because beyond that time, the service providers will be engaged in this evacuating.
Okay, so I've got a commercial. But when we do come back, I do hear that Prince Oya, who is the acting sole administrator of RIWAMA, will join the conversation. So please do stay tuned.
The show continues after this break.
A look at the headline news. Youth leader blames reduced security for recent killings in Outer East. Police arrest 3 alleged notorious suspects in Rivers State. RISEC blames bank issues for payment delays to local government election ad hoc staff. President Tinubu sacks 5 ministers, appoints 7 new ministers. Serap threatens lawsuit against FCT Minister Wike over ultimatum to FCT beggars. House of Representatives to investigate frequent national grid collapse. FRSC to prioritize action against drivers under the influence of drugs, alcohol in Rivers State. And on the foreign scene, several dead, injured after attack on Turkish aviation firm. Details in the 6 p.m. bulletin. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808 721 7215. Conversations continue. Please do stay tuned.
You spend a lot of your hard-earned money to purchase the things in your house and at your business centers. And thus, you must do what you can to protect and maintain them. Accidents can and do happen. So we at 92.3 Nigeria Info would like to encourage you to take the following steps to prevent a fire outbreak. First, install a fire alarm. Ask your electrician about fire alarms, as some can be affordable. Educate children around you. Take time to explain the dangers of fire and teach them the safety protocols and numbers to call in case of emergencies. Be wary of electrical appliances. They may make our lives easier, but they can be dangerous when they become faulty. Ensure a professional repairs or helps with the installation of home appliances. Do not make illegal power connections. Exercise caution when cooking. As you prepare your food, please stay close by. Resist the urge to take a nap or do other things whilst cooking. Also, ensure flammable substances are not close to your burner. Do not store fuel or diesel at home. Many fires have started because of petroleum products being stored in the homes of many Nigerians. Get a fire extinguisher. A fire extinguisher will go a long way to either reduce the spread or stop a fire if caught early. Keep fire-causing tools and items safe in storage. And finally, regular training, reminders, and updates to both family and staff members will keep individuals alert to safety protocols. Know the emergency numbers to call.
This is Hard Facts.
All right, it is 5:33 p.m. and yes, we're still talking, waste management in Rivers State, how to ensure that we take responsibility for our environment. And with me here in the studio is the technical advisor to the sole administrator of RIWAMA. I'm talking about Dr. Emmanuel Olowu. But yet again, joining the conversation is the sole administrator himself. I'm talking about Honorable Prince Oya. Can you hear me? Good day to you, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Kalada.
All right. It is good that you've joined us. So I'm going to ask you this question. It's a sensitive one because I do think we have a refuse problem. I was just talking with your technical advisor, and he said that Rivers people in the Port Harcourt metropolis are still, finding it difficult to, one, locate receptacles as they should, and two, dump it at the right time. So what is RIWAMA doing as it relates to the sensitization of the people in the Port Harcourt metropolis so that we can revive the garden city status of the capital?
Thank you very much, Canada. I should have, in any way, sent back this question to you because I know that RIWAMA has done a lot to sensitize the people and create a habit of good character in waste disposal in River State. We have a lot of Django up and running in radio stations, include one of your stations in Nigeria Info. We have our social media front desk. The social media front desk is there on a very serious and rigorous campaign on how to guide the people on the time of disposing of waste and the place and point of disposing of waste. We have our sanitation marshals that have been there on campaigns every now and then. But I think that the radio houses, the media need to do more in collaboration. The corporate social responsibility that you owe the state should be geared towards this direction and ensuring that every day you are up there trying to guide the citizens. Because a clean environment is a healthy environment. Whatever thing that happens to the environment is you. You are environment. If the environment is dirty, then know that you are dirty. The environment is dirty, remember that it will come back as a means of ill health to the public. So I think that the media should do more. We are doing our best.
But I do agree we, the media, would have to also join the sensitization campaign. But it looks like, all of the conversations we've been having, the people have not been adhering to some of the rules. So are there other strategies you think we can employ, to get the people? I mean, we talked about, your technical advice and I talked about Cross River and use Calabar as an example in our last conversation. Do you think it's something we can, emulate in river states, most especially the Port Harcourt metropolis? And what strategy can we use to achieve it? Should we make it law saying XYZ punishment for anybody who dumps indiscriminately? Do you think those kind of strategies will work?
Mr. Kalada, today as we speak, the ethical law of the land has prescribed a lot of penalties for all the defaulters, the varying level of defaulting. But again, for us, we want to change the strategy to community-based. We are compiling names of monitors and enforcement teams that will start to enforce these laws. People are clapping hands and happy that Lagos State is doing well in terms of waste disposal and environmental cleanliness. But again, if you remember clearly in Lagos, if you drop your refuse anyhow in Lagos, you'll be flogged, you'll be mishandled. Nobody's seeing that. But I'm sure if it comes in River State, people will begin to complain and they will run to the media and you will be first to give them coverage. But again, I want to tell you, I want to assure you, we are going community-based. We are compiling names of community personnel that will serve as our enforcement team. They are going to collaborate with RIWAMA. We are going to brand them with our vests. They will start the enforcement, both monitoring and enforcement. And I'm sure that will go a long way.
All right, let's go to the issue of flash flooding. The last I remember, RIWAMA promised desilting of canals. And
you walk through the canals. If you walk through, you will see that some parts of the canals were actually desilted. That process is going thing because as they are desilting, they are doing embankment. They are walling the sides of the canal to ensure that it remains safe. It doesn't collapse again, and we will not have all the bushes and grasses growing all around it. So it's a good thing. It's on and going on.
All right. Is there any message you want to pass across to Rivers people so we could let you go back to you?
What I want to tell Rivers people is that the management team in Rivers State Waste Management Agency is borrowing a leaf from the executive governor of Rivers State, who is a loving man. We want to change the strategy. The strategy must not be about forcing the people to do a thing. We want the people to imbibe the spirit of environmental friendliness. We want the people to be incorporated. Some persons ask me, why is it that we have not activated the monthly environmental sanitation? I said, no. We want the people to be environmental conscious. Let it be a thing of the mind. Let them know that they need to clean the environment. We are building this gradually, and we are sure that we'll get there. A time when somebody will feel guilty if you drop a trash on the street. You will feel guilty because you just remember that you have messed up the street and not being woken up by someone or forced by someone to pick up the trash. We want to encourage the people into being environmental friendly, and we will get there. So my advice to the people of River State is the time for disposing of waste is between 6 p.m. in the evening to 10 p.m. in the evening. Any other time other than this, you are going against the laws of the land. And when the law catches up on you, definitely the law the pipe of the law will see you and deal with you accordingly. So we don't pray that the law catches up with anybody. We pray that the people should obey the law, obey the rules and regulations of the agency. Again, I want to prove with the people. Some of them are saying that receptacles are a little bit far away from their home. But you see, this is a problem with man. Ordinarily, the law states emphatically, very emphatic, the polluter is the payer. Whoever that generates the waste should pay for the waste disposal. But the River State government, in her magnanimity, is both evacuating and managing the waste for the individual. Now, distance is the barrier. Just to walk a distance of 1 kilometer or 1.5 kilometers to go and depose the waste is the problem. I want to plead with every citizen and resident of River State. Locate the receptacles that are nearest to you. Be a good citizen. Go and dispose your waste there within the hours of 6 p.m. in the evening and 10 p.m. in the night. Anything other than this, the law will catch up with you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for gracing us with your presence, Honorable Prince Oya.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, I'm going back to the technical advisor. I mean, you just sat and listened to your boss, but there's one more important issue I'd like us to tackle, and that's marketplaces in Port Harcourt Metropolis. After a market day, it is a terrible sight.
Yeah, it's terrible because primarily there are a lot of waste that they generate. There are also this carefree attitude that some traders will allow certain goods just to get spoiled in their hands, perhaps because they insist that they have to sell it at a particular amount. That being said, we understand that part and we're trying to deal with that challenge. What we do is that the service providers that are within their locations, we encourage them, and that's what they have been doing. On the market day, for instance, on Thursday mornings, when some markets are on operations, like the Ojoto market and all that, they position their truck at that point. We give an extended time beyond the 7 o'clock.
Do you think they need a special, evacuation process? The various markets.
It's just because of the he had when the Honorable Prince Oya spoke here. Is the magnanimity of the leadership of Prince Oya. To make our people feel that the complaint is that we don't live in the market, we have to get from our houses to the market, and at that time it's already 7 o'clock. So you see, he had said that we were taking and imbibing the spirit and the heart of the governor, who is a
But I do have a problem with that. I was, because of one for time, I didn't mention it. Should Rivers people not pay for their waste? Maybe then they will be conscious on proper disposal.
Of course, that's what. Technically, a professional, that's what it should be.
All right.
That's where we should be. If we must get it as best as we want, which we should be like other society where things are done very right.
All right.
We will get there.